Hi, this is Tanya from My Vinyl Cut, and I'd like to show you how I create a contour cut line for print and cut. So I have this image here that I purchased and brought it in. It's a PNG, and when I go to cut it, I'll print it like this, and if I go to cut it, it's just going to cut a square because an image, a raster image photograph, it's just a square. So we need to cut around it if you want to make a nice little, not very many people want all that white space around it in a square. So what I like to do is you first of all, you select it by clicking on it. You come to the right and you choose the trace panel and then select trace area, and you come up with these little crosshairs. You click and drag a box around the entire image, and this is what it's going to trace. Now it's a light colored image, so it doesn't really pick up the lighter colors, so you have to increase the threshold, which is right here. Something like this, I just go all the way up, and then I don't want to cut all the inside pieces. I want to just cut the outside pieces, so I click trace outer edge. So once I do that, if you can see, there's a red line around just the outer edge. I'm going to click undo to put it back. So I don't really want to cut around that. It's going to be jagged. It's going to be hard to weed around. It's not going to 100% cut exactly around the image. It's never really all that accurate. So what I want to do is create an offset so the line is around the outside. And how I do that is I have to offset this red line, not the image, because if I click on this, it'll put an offset line around this. I don't want that. So it's really hard to click this. I mean, I just did, but what I do, just to be quick, is I select both, and then I unselect the center, which you can do by pressing down your shift key and then clicking on the image. And now I only have this red line selected. Well, that didn't really work, but let me do it again. I select both, click the inside, now I only have the outside selected. I'm just going to leave it at that. I come over here to my offset button, I click the outer offset option, and it automatically bumps the line. I have an old computer, so it takes a while to do things sometimes. So it created an offset around the outside here. But you see how it kind of still goes inside, and then it kind of captured that little, these little dots because it's a little, watercolory. In order to get rid of all that, I increased the distance around the line by about 5 times. So there was 2, 3, 4, 5. I clicked it 5 times. And like I said, my processor is not very strong. It was, 9 years ago, but the newer computers, the more expensive ones with the big processors, they work quicker. Now, so you see, it kind of got rid of some of these things. Not necessarily all of them, but I don't want to create more white space around it. So I'm just going to leave it as is. Now, since the new line is already selected, I'm going to hit my shift key and click the image, and I'm going to group those two together, because if you can see, they're together, and then it leaves this behind. Let me hit undo. So I'm going to select all of it. I'm going to unselect the grouped image with the new outer line. I'm just going to hit delete, and it deletes that inner part. So now I want to work with just the red line. So I want to ungroup them again. I know this is a lot of work. I hit shift and then select the image. So I'm unselecting the image. Now I'm only working with just this red outer line. Now I want to get rid of these humps right here, and I want to get rid of these inner bits because I don't want those cut, and then I don't really want it cut all the way up in here or here. So I'll show you how to tackle all 3 of those problems. So if you double click it, well, that was the image. So I'm going to try to select just this, yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do, you see all these little nodes, so your cutter's going to go cut, 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 cut. It's going to be jagged. It might rip it up. It will take forever. So I'm just going to hit simplify. So when you simplify it, it takes some of those little nodes out. So we're going to work right here. So I'm going to hit my zoom tool. So what you can do, I want to delete all of these. I just want it to be like from here to here. So in order to do that, you can hit shift and then you can select these nodes. And then I released my mouse, I released the button, and I just hit delete, and looky there, like magic. Now here, you can do the same thing. You can hit shift and then select the nodes and delete. So right here is something I know that causes me trouble, is an actual like point. I'm just going to adjust that so it's not so sharp and pointy. It rips when you try to weed it. So this is just one node that needs to be deleted. I'm just going to click on it and then click delete point. It actually kind of warped this, so I'm going to select this one and just hit make flat. So that's what it looks like. That's okay with me. So here's this. Hit shift. I'm using my mouse to click and drag over these. I'm releasing the mouse, releasing shift, and hitting delete. I'm going to do that again over here. You can also just click on it and click delete point, delete point. You can just delete them that way. Okay, so here, just take care of this real quick. Delete. Okay, so I don't really want these cut lines to go up in this. So I'm going to do something different. I'm going to hit my rectangle tool. I'm going to use the rounded rectangle, and I'm going to just create a rounded rectangle in a couple of places here. I do kind of like the outline to go kind of to follow up like this. I like this. I just don't really need it to go up too far. So I'm going to place these in a couple of places. Now I'm going to select everything. Let's zoom out. So I'm going to select the cut lines and those little boxes, these boxes, and the cut line. Now when I did that, I actually selected the image. So I'm going to hit shift and click on it to unselect it. So now watch, we go to object, modify, weld, and you welded those boxes to it. But it did leave these, but remember that fix as you double click? Yeah, there you go. So then you hit shift, and I selected that and hit delete, hit shift, selected this, hit delete, shift, selected this, and hit delete. So it kind of gave me more nodes, which is really weird, but it's okay. So, and if you don't like this little thing, because I don't like that little thing, you can edit the nodes. So I'm just going to put this up, delete this way. So you can fine tune it. See, I like the look of that better. This little point I don't like, so I'm just going to bring it down. The little points, when you go to weed, it kind of rips, and then when you peel up your sticker, it'll rip. Fix this over here too. And the only reason I know this is because I print stickers for a living, and I know that those little points cause me trouble. So it doesn't look too nice. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time fine-tuning this right now, but you go ahead and spend a lot of time fine-tuning yours. Make your images look really nice, make your stickers look really nice. I am going to work on this because this is one of my new stickers, and I did already sell one, so I have to actually create it in order to send to my printer so it'll print and cut. So I do kind of like the little bit of a follow around kind of contour, but it doesn't really need to go too deep in. It's not really necessary, and it actually causes problems when you go to weed the excess off. And let's hit simplify and see what it does. So yeah, I don't need to go in so far with that one. I think that looks good. And this might actually look better if it went up just a little. So there, I think that looks good. So this is ready for print and cut. So you just do your registration marks, send it to the printer, and then and actually what I do is when I go to send, I actually turn my line color off, because with the silhouette, it doesn't always cut exact on the line. So you'll see that red line sometimes here and there. So when you go to send and you're cutting, you want to select your image and turn that off to no cut. And then now only your line is selected. So it knows where your line is, this program, even if you turned the color off. See, the color's off. So turn your color of your line off before you send it to print. So it'll print just like this with the registration marks. But when you go to cut it, it'll cut around where it's supposed to. So I hope you learned something new. And if you want to see more videos, subscribe to my channel, My Vinyl Cut, on YouTube. I also have an Etsy shop with the same name and a website. Then click the bell to receive notifications for when I upload new videos. I've been working with Silhouette Cameo for 3 years. I teach a class at Michael's in my local neighborhood, and I have a little storefront in the Dr. Phillips area in Southwest Orlando. So come by and see me, and have a great day.